I'm Melanie Katz. This is KZSC News. We have two stories for you today. The state declared farm workers essential from the start of the COVID-19 crisis, so their work hasn't stopped in Santa Cruz County. Today, we'll look at how those farm workers have been affected by the pandemic. We'll also talk about what to expect at some seasonal farmers markets that will start in June in Felton and Scotts Valley. But first, Katia Damian of KZSC News has a story for you about COVID-19 contact tracers. The county is training current and former health professionals to investigate the spread of COVID in Santa Cruz County.
As coronavirus shelter orders become more relaxed in California and Santa Cruz County, contact tracing is increasingly being used to help limit the spread of the virus. The goal of COVID-19 contact tracing is to curb exposure to people from a suspected or confirmed patient. That's according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Tracking people that a COVID patient had contact with is similar to detective work. Potentially exposed people are alerted, advised to maintain social distance, and track any symptoms for 14 days since contact with the patient. Contact means interaction within 6 feet for more than 15 minutes. Last week, Santa Cruz County Health Services Agency Director Mimi Hall said the county is trying to train 60 contact tracers.
So as of today, we have 15 trained contact tracers that are existing public health staff. By the end of next week, we'll have an additional 15 trained, which are volunteers who come from public health, volunteers and or staff who come from public health and or the healthcare industry. We're going to train another 30 to start the statewide training course next week, and so by another 2 weeks from then, they'll have all been trained. So at that time, we'll have a workforce of 60 trained contact tracers that will only be deployed when or if we have an outbreak and their services are needed.
So what does the training look like? It includes 28 hours of online and instructor-led courses. It also includes an orientation with the county's Public Health Communicable Disease Unit. Contact tracers can do 3 main things. 1. Trace and monitor contacts of infected people and notify them of their exposure. 2. Support the quarantine of contacts to prevent more transmission. 3. Use digital tools which can expand the reach of contact tracers. Cell phone tracking is not being used by our county's contact tracers. Contact tracing is part of a multi-pronged approach to make it effective. There needs to be adequate testing, sensitivity to privacy concerns, and prompt alerts to potentially infected people. Joan Donovan, a faculty member at Harvard University, has expressed concerns about contact tracing as a standalone solution.
Contact tracing is another one where technology isn't going to be effective without humans who can explain to you what it means to be exposed and what your risk is and can talk you through where it might have happened.
Donovan also warned about potential pitfalls.
These things, if they're deployed at scale without a robust infrastructure for talking to people about what you're getting notified about, is going to be a huge disaster. It's going to be really devastating for the public health of people. And then we also know the other part of this, which is that to have been in the same place as someone doesn't necessarily automatically lead to, infection. There's going to be a lot of questioning. There's going to be, again, another round of skepticism and inquiry that we need to be ready for, and we need to be prepared for, and we need to be able to answer people's questions.
Santa Cruz County is using California's Virtual Academy to train contact tracers. Santa Cruz County spokesman Jason Hoppin says it follows state public health guidelines. Contact tracers could be busy this summer. As shelter orders loosened in the past week, county health leaders said that confirmed COVID cases rose from 167 to 205 as of Monday.
Because of COVID-19 precautions in recent weeks, the start of seasonal farmers markets in Felton and Scotts Valley were delayed this year. The Felton Farmers Market is expected to start Tuesday. Scotts Valley's Farmers Market is set to start June 6th. The farmers markets in Live Oak, downtown Santa Cruz, and Westside Santa Cruz remained open during the COVID shelter rules. Naish Dillon, the executive director of Santa Cruz Farmers Markets, said the outdoor vendors have some new rules, but the scene still looks fairly familiar.
It's like everywhere else that's an essential business. You know, everybody's going to be in mask. Everybody's going to be trying to practice social distancing. But it's pretty much the same farmer's market. The shelves are as full as they would normally be.
Part of the reason that fruit and vegetable supply has remained steady is the timing of the harvest season and when COVID precautions started for farm workers. The timing wasn't bad in April. That's according to Juan Hidalgo. He's Santa Cruz County's agricultural commissioner.
Our season typically starts around April. So in some ways, a lot of our growers were getting ready to figure out what material to use and what practices to implement on the farm to be able to keep their farm workers safe. It's not just talking about social distancing and wearing face coverings and cleaning and washing your hands frequently, but it's also about changing the way in which you are harvesting commodities in the field to be able to maintain the social distancing.
When picking certain fruits and vegetables, there's some natural social distancing already in place. When workers pick grapes or vegetables or harvest from fruit trees, they're already spaced further apart. Strawberries and raspberries, however, normally mean workers are closer together since the berries themselves are more clustered. And strawberries and raspberries are two of the biggest crops in Santa Cruz County. Here's Juan Hidalgo again.
When it comes to strawberry and raspberry production, all of that acreage was planted last fall. So growers are stuck with that right now, right? So it's not like they can cut back and say, I had 200 acres, so let me do 100 because the demand is not there. So they're stuck with what they planted. But when it comes to leafy vegetables, those growers are able to make some adjustments. And it is possible that as they see a decline in demand, because a lot of restaurants are closed right now, that they may scale back what they plant as far as lettuces and other leafy vegetables.
Another change this spring has been in terms of farm labor. In the past 5 or so years, growers in Santa Cruz County have had a shortage of farm workers to pick crops, Hidalgo says. But this year, because industries such as construction were not deemed essential in April and people couldn't work, some people applied for farm jobs instead. During the peak of the annual harvest, there are about 9,000 people who work in agriculture in Santa Cruz County. But at the same time, California declared farm workers essential at the start of the COVID crisis. Many of them worked in the country illegally. Naish Dillon, the executive director of the Santa Cruz Farmers Markets, said some of the labor aspects are due for an overhaul.
There just needs to be a serious discussion about how farming works and who all the supporting cast are. I mean, from housing to wages to, some sort of like sound immigration policy that allows these folks to be able to enter into the United States and work in the fields and do the things that they've always done. I mean, this is just the way it's been forever, and it's becoming really, really difficult. Well, now with my smaller farmers, it's not so much so because a lot of them are just family run, and a lot of people do a little bit of everything. But the medium-sized farms, the larger farms that I work with, yeah, it's a real issue.
This spring, there has also been some renewed appreciation for farm workers. In April, a convoy of Watsonville residents in cars drove through some of the fields with signs to show their appreciation. Dylan believes that shopping at farmers markets is a direct way in which locals can support farm workers. Like many other essential workers, farmers are among the most vulnerable during the COVID-19 crisis, and ironically, some of the people harvesting our foods are sometimes left hungry themselves. Dylan mentioned that a new CalFresh program allows those with California Electronic Benefit Transfer Cards, or EBT cards, to get $3 purchasing power for each dollar on their card at the farmers markets.
If you spend money at the farmers markets, it's a direct infusion into the local economy. The money doesn't go anywhere but here. And it's going into the hands of the people who are feeding you. I mean, I can't see a better way of making your dollar count.